Rejection. Wow. I'm glad someone else had a pliable definition of the term, because you can't sell rejection stories without the word eject, maybe. This story is about how I became a fugitive from the Michigan public school bus system. It was winter, and Michigan winters are very similar to Wisconsin winters. And our neighborhood was on the fringes of town, and that meant two things. One, we were the last neighborhood to be plowed, and two, we were one of the last bus stops. Now, I hated riding the bus. I know people don't like it, but I hated it. And it wasn't just because it took forever. And it wasn't because it broke OSHA standards with the volume of the kids. And it wasn't even that in my time, there weren't seatbelts on the bus, so every pothole would launch a kid into the ceiling, and by the end of the school year, it would look like the surface of a golf ball. It was because I've dealt with a lifelong struggle with motion sickness. Okay, maybe some of you have had motion sickness before. If you don't, you might not know that the motion is really only part of what gives you the nausea. Often it's being overwhelmed by external stimuli that cause the sickness part. So riding a bus really wasn't a convenient and necessary mode of transportation. It was more akin to, advanced interrogation tactics. So on this particular day, there had been a massive snowstorm during school. So the roads were already treacherous by the time we got on the bus. And I don't know if you know this about buses, but they take a long time to come to a stop. So there's a constant ballet of gas, brake, gas, brake, gas, brake, made all the worse by the fact there's no seatbelts on this bus. And I'm employing 15 years, I'm 15 years old in this story, I'm employing 15 years of the tactics that I've learned over the years. I'm meditating, I'm deep breathing, I'm ignoring the kid next to me talking about how many headshots he's got in GoldenEye. And I'm just doing what I can to make it through. But this bus ride is taking extra long. And that means that the kids are getting extra restless. Their screams and yelps are reverberating off the tin roof and pounding into my head like it's a chapter out of Dante's Inferno. And I know trouble's brewing. This is not going to turn out good for anyone on this bus. This ride takes approximately 2 hours, in which I am hoping for divine intervention. And for some reason, I get my wish, because we get to my neighborhood. And as we're turning on, I've not yet done the deed, but I know it's imminent. And we get to my neighborhood, and I see it's yet to be finished being plowed. So the bus goes even slower. And at this point, I'm just praying to God, if there is a God that I don't believe in. I'm praying that there's just some way I could make it 2 streets to my house. And at this point, the problem's rising to the point where my uvula is raising every alarm in my body like Quasimodo ringing the church bells. And I see my street, and I can go, thank God, I can start counting the houses to my house. 3 houses, don't throw up. 2 houses, don't throw up. 1 house to go, I can do it. And then I see my salvation, my sweet, beautiful home. And we get to my stop. And then, wham! The bus lurches to the left like a shotgun blast. Everyone on the bus is stunned. The bus driver quickly gets up and says, everybody stay seated, and she gets off the bus. Now, luckily, the shock to my system has paused whatever internal struggle I was having at the moment, but it gave me an instant and immediate headache. And it started basically a 5-minute timer. I knew that this was going to happen. It wasn't a question of if, but when. And as she's off the bus, I'm taking stock of myself. I'm okay. I mean, there's no seatbelt, so the kid across the aisle had hurled at me at bone-crunching speed, and I'm surprised that it didn't explode out of every orifice. But I'm okay. Everyone seems to be okay. And I look to the left, out the window, just to get my bearings, and I see that we've come to a stop in front of my house. And I think, oh my goodness, I'm out of the woods. Here's the clearing. I can do this. It's just a few more minutes. The bus driver gets back on the bus, and she says, okay, here's the deal. We've hit the snowplow. Everyone needs to stay seated until we figure this out. And sensing that this is a moment for a hero, I stand up, uncharacteristic of myself, and protest and say, can I get out of the bus? You're literally right here. The left wheel of the bus is on my driveway. And she says, no one moves, sit back down. And she gets off the bus, and I'm left standing there looking at all the faces of the kids on the bus, these sweet, innocent, naive faces, totally unaware of the Boschian hellscape I'm about to unleash on them. And then I look out the window and I see my house. And I look back at them and I see my legacy. This is going to be what's written in my senior high school book. And I look back outside and I look at the alternative history. Nothing happens. No one knows what the hell happened. So I make a decision and I go to the back of the bus and I see the red bar that looks like the SWAT team is going to come if you pull it up. I do, they don't. And the door swings open. It looks like the ground is 10 feet down, but I'm sure it was about 3. And I jump, and I'm sidling along the side of the bus, trying not to be seen. And I'm ducking and diving across my yard. And I get to the side of the house out of sight. And I'll spare you the details of what happened next. Suffice it to say, we didn't have to de-ice that part of the driveway that night. So I go back inside, I get cleaned up, I take a shower, I brush my teeth, I throw the toothbrush out. I go downstairs, try to get something to settle my tum-tum. So I pop an oolong into the hot microwave, I pull it out, and go to the kitchen window. About an hour has passed at this point, and I'm sipping on my tea, and I see that the bus is still there, and I think, God damn it, I made the best decision of my life. They have no idea the crimes against humanity that I just prevented. And then I realized, well, nothing's happened. So I quickly put it out of my brain and go watch Jerry Springer or some shit. And the weekend goes by. And I go to school on Monday, not thinking of this at all. I'm walking through the hallway, and about halfway through the day, I hear, "Could Landen Celano please report to the assistant principal's office?" And the blood drains out of me, and I'm like, oh, man. Friday, right, that is probably what's happening here. And I get down there, the assistant principal, he's confused because I'm never in these sorts of situations. He's looking at me, he's like trying to confirm my end. Do you go here? I've never seen you in the entirety of your school life. And I go, yeah. And he goes, okay, what happened on Friday on the bus? And I tell him, and he's like, okay, I understand. Here's the situation. Bus drivers are accountable for kids until they are safely dropped off at their designated bus stop. So I have one of two options. I can discipline her, which might mean she might lose her job, or I can discipline you. And he slides this piece of paper across the table, and he says, I'm so sorry. And I pick it up, and my entire future goes away. It says, Landen Celano has been expelled from the Michigan public school bus system for life. Something I'm sure still stands true today, but at 41, I'm not willing to test that out for many other reasons. But there's a note section on this piece of paper that gives the reason for why I was being expelled. And I'm sure he meant to write accident. But instead he wrote, fleeing the scene of a crime. And in the moment, as I'm watching my college dreams go away, I'm struck by the humor of this. I'm kind of picturing a retired lieutenant becoming an assistant principal, going through the student handbook, looking for reasons to expel someone. Forgery? No, can't use that one again so soon. I know, fleeing the scene of a crime. Okay, here we go. Off you go. But the humor strikes me that I never have to put my hands in the fate of the gods again, or put my fate in the hands of the gods again. I never have to worry about my reputation at school. I never have to ride the school bus ever again. So from that day forward, I got to sleep in. I got to walk to the kitchen window in the mornings with my cup of hot oolong and watch the kids waiting and freezing for the school bus every single day. And that's it. Thank you.